Good morning, guys. So, as promised, I'm here in the Eat Well, Move Well HQ with the main man, Mr. Damian Porter, and we had a bit of teething problems with the new fancy app. So, we're going old school. We're live on, through trusty Facebook. So, without any further ado, the people that have been waiting for us, say good morning to the main, who we can now see. Hey, that's better.
Morning, everybody. Thanks, Mark.
Cheers, mate. So, the ketogenic world kind of blowing up just now.
Yeah, absolutely.
People are starting to really rave about it and get more open to what's going out there. So I've managed to gather some data from you lovely people over the last couple of days. And I think before we start, we should maybe just define what some of the main terms are. So what is the ketogenic diet?
Ketogenic diet would be a way of eating, rather than a belief system of eating, that allows your body to produce ketones. Ketones are a byproduct of fat metabolism, fancy word for breakdown, either of your own body fat or of introduced fats such as medium chain triglyceride oil or slightly in coconut oil, or from exogenous ketones, fancy word again for outside the body ketones. So the ketogenic diet would be a way of eating that produces ketones in the body and typically from your own body fat.
Perfect, thank you. And when we have these ketones, exogenous ketones, or by means of our diet, what conduces ketosis? What is that state?
Okay, so that's where people need to be clear. Ketosis is simply you having ketones in your bloodstream.
Yep. We
can prick your blood, as you did the other weeks, prick your skin and test your blood, and bang, yes or no, you have certain levels of ketones in your bloodstream. You can also measure with urine, but after about 2 weeks, the ketones don't appear in the urine anymore, but it's great for a start. So that's ketosis, having the ketones in your body. That can be from a certain way of eating or just from drinking a high-tech fuel source. Yeah. That's ketosis, which is different. I think you might have the question down the track. Ketogenesis is making your own ketones, making your own. So back to your first question, and this would link the two together, is when you eat a certain way that you make your own body produce ketones, which is what you guys have called fat burning. We called it for years. How many years ago? 22 years ago at university at Otago. We were taught that that was great on paper. You could burn fat and make ketones, but you couldn't do it during exercise. You're going to do it just at rest and not very well. But now we know very differently. So cool. That's the difference there.
Very, very cool. What is a sample keto reading? What's a good optimal state to be in for ketosis in terms of the millimoles, which is the unit of measurement?
Yeah, so unit of measurement is millimoles in the blood. And you can also do breath, which is much cheaper and longer lasting, less blood.
Hopefully.
The nutritional ketosis is between 0.5 to 0.7 millimoles. Again, what that means is you've got a certain amount of ketones in your bloodstream that has an effect. And I'll go through those effects maybe down the track, but at that level of 0.5 to 0.7 or greater, you'll have reduced hunger, increased satiety. You'll start to have, if it's just from your diet, you'll start to burn body fat effectively. You'll be a little bit anti-catabolic, which means you won't break down muscle, so muscle sparing. Your brain will have those effects. So 0.5 to 0.7 is the minimum to get an effect.
Brilliant. So I've got a list of questions here from you guys. Thank you very much for your feedback. And my kind of low-level entry explanation of ketosis and ketogenic diet and things is enough to grab, then the next question is, okay, so what do I eat? What is a typical keto day? What does that look like? What's the meals? How should I prep? Etc. etc.
It's actually really simple, and I'm so surprised when my clients are not sure what to eat when they go out, because it is really, really simple. And Dave Asprey from Bulletproof He does and teaches a cycling ketogenic diet, and he makes it the explanation like this: get a plate and fill it full of veggies, and we're talking green veggies and coloured veggies, not like full of potatoes.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
That's all right. I'm across the water.
So full of veggies, fill a plate full of veggies, and put an appropriate amount of protein on. That means appropriate for you and appropriate for your exercise. We like going to the gym and doing funny stuff called exercise, so maybe we need more. An appropriate level of protein, and then covered a lot of vegetables and fat. Makes it taste good. We all love how fat tastes,
Yeah.
and we don't. What we've got then, the typical meal is a fairly high fat, fairly moderate to lowish protein, and a high amount of vitamins and minerals from the veggies, and very low carbohydrates. The carbohydrates would come in at night and in an appropriate amount to you. Typically, 30 to 50 grams or less of carbohydrates. And that's at night in your night meal, and it's appropriate to your level of exercise and the level of person. If you're 150 kilos of muscle, man, you might be able to handle 200 grams of carbs.
Yeah.
So,
Cool. I think for some of us that might be tuning in and think 30, 50 gram of carbs, how the hell can I do that? And I think probably the key thing that a lot of people are taking out that is eating carbs at night. So can we touch on probably what's been, excuse the pun, ingrained into us for the last 3, 4, 5 decades, that we need carbs for energy, number one, and two, they should be the staple of all meals, particularly breakfast.
Okay, so good question, and also on to add to that, being ingrained, was what I was taught at age 21, 22, is eat carbs at night and you get fat.
Yeah.
So that's not how the body works. It's not a calculator. Carbohydrates. You've got two energy sources. You've got sugar, and your cells know glucose. Fancy word for sugar. Your cells know glucose. It doesn't matter if it's brown rice or Coke. It just knows glucose. Yeah. And it's also got ketones and fats. You can use either one of those two energy sources. 30 to 50 grams of carbs. That's around about, a sweet potato, around about half a cup to a cup. So it's a decent amount. You're not going to go starving. What we want to do is we want to deplete our sugar stores, our carbohydrate stores through the day, replace them at night without overflowing them, and then through night time you burn a little bit of that sugar away, not much, and then burning through the day, especially with the exercise and so on, and then replace them again at the end of the day. So all I'm asking you to do is just time your carbohydrates into night time at an appropriate amount at the appropriate time. That will allow you, to your question about energy, to use fats for energy in all the other time.
Thus bringing on the state of ketosis.
That's bringing it, exactly. So there's no sugar.
Yeah.
You're going to have something.
Yeah.
And I guarantee at the start, if you convert to, if you're trying to convert to a state of ketosis, there are some cheats. We want to do cheats. Cheats are good. Because it's hard. Because if you haven't got sugar coming in and you've been a sugar burner all your life, well then you're stuffed. Because you've got no sugar, no carbohydrates, and you haven't started to burn fat yet.
Yeah.
What do you got? You got nothing. You feel terrible. So we want to induce this state of ketosis as easily as possible without the least amount of pain and as efficiently as possible.
Yeah.
So the answer to your question, energy will come from your fats. Carbohydrates replace energy.
Yep.
They can't give you extra energy. You can only fill up your full tanks to full. You can't get extra carbohydrates. And in fact, they'll get stored as body fat.
Yeah. I think that is, any of my clients that are watching this, that little analogy of the 3 petrol tanks that you hear me speak about was from one of our lectures live in place with this man here that sadly we maybe only 4 or 5 people attend. I mean, that's absolute gold, because we're ingrained to think that we need them for energy, but if these fuel tanks are filled and then we take more in, your body's, well, it might, but it's not going to hack it straight back up. It's going to go somewhere within there, so it overflows, praying that you're going to use it for energy. But if you do use it for energy, you're probably just burning off that excess stuff that you've got there, and the tanks still remain pretty full. And if you're having the carbs at every single meal, they're eventually overflowing. you slow down and you gain fat. So I think that was absolutely fantastic. I'd love that. I think about it quite a lot, and I always say, you know, how filled up is your fuel tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. So thank you very much for that.
And on top of that, adding to that is having ketones present in your bloodstream spares glycogen. If I turn that into proper language, burning fats for fuel means you don't have to burn your sugar. Now that's good. That means if you're a boxer, if you're a marathon runner, if you're burning fats for fuel, you're not burning your sugar. That's your sugar reserve, and then you can use that when you really need it. So if you're fat adapted, if you're burning fat for fuel and I'm a sugar guy, and we both go for a 3-hour run, and I'm burning sugar straight away, I've got a fuel tank that's finite of sugar that I could hold. But you don't use that fuel tank until the last half hour. So you're going to beat me. Or you're going to run further.
What we were saying this morning at the gym, actually, guys, when we were going through our last superset, you would have heard me shouting championship rounds, and I actually caught myself saying that, and I went, why am I talking like boxing training just now? It's probably preempt for this, but that's it. When the mind will do funny things for you. When you think you're about to give up, you can always do that a little bit more. But to have the beauty of the ketones and the ketogenic diet is we now have something tangible and measurable that we can go, well, that is why. So like I said, James, we'll just skip down to your question, mate, which was brilliant. Best timing and frequency, we'll add to that. To eat for performance when on a ketogenic diet. He's training for an upcoming fight on the 19th of November. And just need to give you a shout out, mate. What a fantastic blistering start you've had, and introducing the ketones in there. But this might make the difference, mate. When you are in that championship round, and it can go either way. If you've got that reserve to just then get it up there because you've been sparing of the glycogen, well, win, literally.
Absolutely.
But the timing and the frequency, he trains with me at 6 a.m. in the morning, so he's a bit thinking, so what should I eat and when, especially post-workout?
Okay, great question. And the overriding thing with that would be train low, race high. So we'd train you on low carbohydrates, but we'll compete you on high carbohydrates because we want to have both.
Yeah.
So let's see, timing and frequency. First off, you'll need essential amino acids in the middle of your workout and at the end. Having essential amino acids will prevent the bonking or the very low blood sugar and in the subsequent inability to perform. So essential amino acid powder in your drink during, and also have that post. I'd also probably have a small amount of whey protein afterwards, but not sugar afterwards. Because the sugar, you don't really need that sugar to drive the protein into the cells. The protein itself, whey protein, has a slight insulin rise. That means there's a hormone in your body that pushes it into your cells.
Yep.
And it's going to prevent muscle breakdown. The carbohydrate timing will still be the same.
Yeah.
Yep, still be the same at night. You could reverse it and have it afterwards, but he runs that risk. If you have carbohydrates afterwards, as soon as you put sugar in, testosterone shuts down.
Cool.
So we're going to get a slight blood sugar rise and slight insulin rise from the protein itself, if it's whey protein. So that'll cover that. But if he wants to maximise that glycogen storage, he could have sugar afterwards, but that would be his carb window. I think he's better off with the essential amino acids during, and then his whey protein afterwards. And then the other timing, frequency, probably about 1 or 2 hours later, having a decent meal,
Yep.
a decent meal of fats, veggies, and proteins, and the carbohydrate sources, making sure that they're fibrous from things like your sweet potato, pumpkin, yams. If you're going to go fruits, then your darker berries and so on. So there's fibre in there as well. Apart from that, he could add a little bit of honey or a little bit of maple syrup to his drink in the middle of the workout with those EAAs.
Mm-hmm.
That could help him. But I would advocate overall, someone that's wanting to perform is train low.
Yep.
Most of the times during the week, then maybe have one high carb day.
Yeah.
So the night before, top off those tanks. In the morning, have a small shot of maple syrup or honey in your drinks, and then compete, train, and see the difference, because you're gonna get performance here just on fats, and carbohydrates. You're gonna get performance here. So then the confidence is up when you go into the race, fight, whatever it is. Train low, race high.
Brilliant. Love that. Love that. Can we briefly touch on, can I jump it? I had a sample format here, but you can see from the text we're kind of going again. As I said on my Snapchat, I said I'm just on my way to see the human Google. And there's always things come up, which is brilliant. But one of my friends, Mitch Foster, who's implementing a lot of this stuff as well, which is really cool, he was asking about post-workout meals, timing and frequency, which you've kind of covered, but I thought it was really interesting. On the Eat Well, Move Well page, I think it was 2 or 3 days ago, there was a study that you linked up there that's saying for the actual protein synthesis, which is just a fancy word what we're talking about there. And to be fair to you, James, you are actually doing that. You said that post-workout, as long as you have a protein shake, you don't really feel any difference and it doesn't affect performance or anything else there. But can you touch on the guys that are out there that have seen that this grain pyramid doesn't work, and then have started to look into other stuff, and some of our clients that have came to your talks that you've done for us when we talk about genealogy, and when you're talking about the Okinawans being the only race in the world that can 100% absorb white rice.
Yes.
And one was like, oh, that's amazing. And then they know, I've been told brown rice, but after workout I should maybe be having white rice because that will fill those tanks up quicker.
Yeah.
And other sweet potatoes. But that study you posted it saying that we actually maybe don't need any or next to nil. I was like, I need to flag that and go back and read it, which I haven't yet done, so maybe you can help me just now.
So there's two things with that study that relates to post-workout recovery. If, again, you're a fat burner and I'm a sugar burner, and I don't want to change, then I sure as hell had better replace my sugar, because I've only got one fuel source. So for me, I would want sugar after my workout. That's a smart thing. But if we're talking about ketosis, which is the context of this, that's not what we want to do. So yeah, if you're living on glycogen, sugar in your muscle cells, then yes, you've got to replace that. But this study showed, and there's numerous ones that show that you don't need sugar to drive protein into your muscle cells to allow muscle cells to recover and grow. In fact, that the protein itself gets a slight blood sugar rise, which gets a slight bit of insulin come out, and the insulin is a hormone of growth, and that will allow that protein to synthesize to allow you to grow. So yeah, the protein alone will allow you to do it, but if you're a sugar burner, then you better replace that sugar, which is where the bodybuilding side would come in.
Yeah.
You know, we put the weight down, we find that protein shake with all the fruit and everything else. Choose one. I think the ketosis side or the fat burning side, train low, race high is a smarter.
That's working. I'm going to write that down. Train low, race high. Brilliant.
Get the best of both worlds and cheat as much as you can.
For those of you that follow me on Instagram and things like that, you might see this hashtag popping up here and there. I think that's brilliant. Following on from that, Naratam Kumar and Nathan Phillips were saying, does the moderate protein requirements of the ketogenic diet affect muscle gaining goals? For example, if they're quite different body shapes. Nathan's just started with it and really blistering. So I know that all this information can be a bit overwhelming, but he's hungry for change. Whereas Naratam, he's your classic ectomorph. So he's saying, look, do I not need to have copious amounts of protein? I'm like, well, no, you don't.
Quality protein is the answer there. So you'd err on the side of caution. You'd get this type of person, the ectomorph, to have protein regularly, but we don't want to have regular insulin spikes and blood sugar spikes. That's the reverse of what we want to do. So first off, having ketones in the bloodstream is protein sparing, which means that it stops you from losing muscle, which is the whole point of the exogenous ketones. Shove those in and you hold onto your muscle. And I've got numerous body scans of people that do that.
Yeah.
They lose 3 kilos, but they actually stay the same muscle. This is in 5 weeks. Stay the same muscle, or maybe gained half a kilo of muscle. Females, because the ketones are protein sparing. That's only protein sparing, it stops breakdown. But to be anabolic, to grow muscle, you need protein. You can take sort of 1.0 to 1.5 grams per kilo body weight. That's your baseline. I'd be eating that from flesh, so from your meats and fishes and eggs and so on. But for this body type, the ectomorph, the skinny lean guy, you'd throw essential amino acids in mid-morning and mid-afternoon and through the workout. Why not err on the side of caution? If you got the money, which is like $60 for a month, err on the side of caution, put it in there. Protein shakes, in place of that, they're about 30% absorbable. We want to absorb all that protein, and we don't want that insulin and blood sugar spike. So that's a hack. Yeah, you can do it the old way that I used to, is shoving a kilo of meat through the day, but you're wasting a lot of it, and it's harder than digestion. So why not just hack it with a little drink?
Wicked.
Yeah.
Wicked. Okay, well, that's covered the kind of movement side of things.
I guess I better just why these questions have come up.
Yes, please.
Is because if your protein intake's too high,
yep,
excess protein turns to sugar in your body, and as soon as you put sugar in your mouth, it stops fat burning. So if you're eating excess protein, it goes through a process called gluconeogenesis, and it raises blood sugar, and that means we don't have to burn body fat or produce ketones. So these people in the gyms that read something about high-fat diet is good, they'll be chowing down steaks and all these things, huge amount of protein. Well, if they're not producing any ketones, they're just going to get possibly get fatter, but they're definitely not going to produce ketones because they're on a high protein, high fat, and no carb diet. And that is where things get really messy and they get a bit hurt hormonally.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so sorry.
Thank you. No, that's cool, because that's going to actually lead into Coach Grace's question. Grace is aware that you can't have ketones and sugars simultaneously. And as soon as the sugars come in, it kind of knocks you out.
For making your own?
Yes.
Only for making your own?
Yeah.
Which takes over some time.
If the exogenous things come in, because that's the next part of our question, I think. If you overconsume carbs or knock yourself out in that state, how long does it take to re-enter ketosis solely from diet? And then can you talk a wee bit about supplementation?
Great question, because that gives us timings. The average person can get into ketosis, if they go hard within 2 or 3 days, that's very untypical because they won't go that hard, and by that I mean restrictive. Normally that I've seen in between 5 days to 2 weeks, ketones coming up from nutrition. But from a health side of things, it's also a good idea to do what we call a protein fast, in particular for females, once a week. That allows our cells to get all the waste products out. You do that overnight,
yep.
You fast. But if we have a whole day of very low protein going through what we call autophagy, the waste products coming out, that can allow our cells to regenerate and they'll repair quicker and faster and operate better. Obviously, there'd be mostly carbohydrates and mostly fats.
Mm-hmm.
So there's your big carb day, but it's going to knock you so far out of ketosis that you have to get back into it, and that's a bit tough. It'll take a person that's keto adapted about 2 or 3 days to get back into that,
Okay.
and it'll work its way up. The individual's different, so 2 to 3 days with nutrition. Because your blood sugar's raised up a lot, I'd use a few hacks with nutrition. The next days, I'd be using cinnamon to lower your blood sugar highs, to be able to regulate your blood sugar back into your cells by regaining insulin productivity, or sensitivity is the word. And yeah, that'll be the answer. 3 to 4 days to get back into it if you knock yourself out. So go out, time that high carb day with your meals out if you want to go and really enjoy your ice creams and things.
Cool. Exogenous ketones, does that speed that up?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I'm fat adapted. I use exogenous ketones for 2 things. One, for performance, when I want to perform at my highest on a fitness test or competition, and 2, for after a high carb day. On that morning, bang, you got ketone salts going in and lots of MCT oil.
Can you show us this here? Because I've spoken to some of the guys about it, And yes, best out there.
Yeah, ketone salts. This is drinking ketones. You can make your body produce it from body fat. You can use MCT oil, which is essentially an exogenous outside the body ketone, and you can use these. These were developed for the Department of Defense in America to stop Special Forces divers from a toxic event. There's 4 or 5 companies that make these. This is probably the most palatable.
Yep.
When they first came out, I was going to buy a bottle. This is Tour de France guys are using it. 8 months ago, one bottle, $180.
Jeez.
I was ready to buy it,
Yeah.
and I sort of went, oh, can I do it with diet? The bulletproof coffee or MCT or whatever you want to call it or take it, I don't care how you take it, that helps your body produce ketones. Good job. This is the effects I've seen on the blood ketone meters is bulletproof coffee times 5. It's tasty, safe, and it's the most researched patent on the market for ketone salts.
Yeah.
So I use it as a hack for after high carb days and for performance, but I'm also trialing it for health for 30 days. It's a brilliant tool.
Yeah.
It's just a tool. We talked. I'm agnostic on how to get into ketosis. I don't care how you do it.
Yeah.
There are great benefits, and hopefully I can help you do that as easily as possible.
Brilliant. And just to touch on that, Damian introduced me to Prove It, the company that do the. I love the name. Keto Operating System is what it stands for. Keto S. It's brilliant. And he introduced me to it. He gave me a 5-day sample when I was going through some health issues back in March, which we'll leave that violin. It's gone. You've heard that, but it really solidified our referral to each other and our networking and just even business aside from a personal point of view. I was really grateful for that. And on top of it as well, a podcast that I'm subscribed to that I tried to listen to. Tim Ferriss, I don't think you follow or subscribe me, so I can put it out there. But if you do, I apologise, mate. But while you have amazing people on there and you've got a lot of gold, it takes a long time to get into it. So I actually bailed out from this podcast, and then Damian had sent me a private mail and he said, listen to this. I said, I actually tried it. He said, just keep going. About an hour 45 minutes into it, if I remember, his interview with Dr. Dom D'Agostino, when he was talking about the benefits of ketones in terms of beating cancer.
Yep.
People have heard my take on it and just wonder. And Dr. Dom D'Agostino is, in terms of Prove It, he endorses it, yes?
He doesn't endorse any, which is great. I mean, like me, agnostic. He uses all of them. So Dr. Dom D'Agostino, his university, and he was one of the lead researchers, developed a patent for ketone salts for human consumption. And 3 companies use his patent formula and make different formulas. And there's 4 or 5 companies, and he uses them all for different reasons. Like I said, this is the most palatable, and they're also enhancing their research, so good quality.
Very tasty.
And in that podcast with Tim Ferriss, the simple question was asked of Dom D'Agostino, because he doesn't endorse stuff, and this guy is a top scientist. I'm nowhere near that level, obviously, and I try to put it in layman's terms. He was asked the question, okay then, what would you do if you had cancer? Because it was a great on the spot one. He went, well, hey, that's a no-brainer. I take so much extra ketones that I was at least 1.0 above my normal rate. So if my normal rate was 0.8, 0.9, that's me from food. He'd be taking these all the time to make sure he's up at 1.9 or more, because of the therapeutic effects on cancer. And in fact, that's what one of my good friends, a good Scottish girl, Emily Maguire.
Emma.
Emily's great. She's going to be doing her thesis on the ketogenic diet and cancer treatment, which would be brilliant. So she actually travelled around the world for a year, interviewing all the top people in nutrition.
That's class.
Go
on, Emily.
Oh, it was amazing. After see Professor Tim Noakes in South Africa, came here. I think she saw Gary Fickey and a whole bunch of people, Dom D'Agostino in the University of Tampere with Jacob Wilson and so on. But yeah, the answer there is extra ketones for therapeutic effects on cancer. I can't tell you the processes on it, but the downside versus the upside.
Yeah.
The downside is either you got a bit of a tough diet, or you spend a bit of money, and you get extra ketones, and the therapeutic effects are huge, proven effects on well, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, so brain and traumatic brain injury as well. If you want some special forces guys or soldiers out there, you want their brain bathed in ketones in case something happens, because ketones mitigate the damage of glutamate that you get from head injuries. If anybody's seen the American football movie with Will Smith, he was the guy that discovered that head injuries are bad. But it's glutamate toxicity, and ketones prevent that.
Brilliant.
So the upside far outweighs the downside.
Moving on further towards its healing potential, a couple of questions come up from Shell Fisher, Elise Page and Big Nathan Baxter, to do with thyroid issues.
Yeah.
Specifically, Nathan asked, how does ketosis affect testosterone production?
Okay, affect testosterone production. I would say it would be good and could be bad. Good in that if you do it right, you've got good fats, good quality fats that make your cell wall. So your cell wall is made from cholesterols. And cholesterols are made from saturated fats. And if you're on a ketogenic diet, you're going to be high in saturated fats. So your
Sorry, can I just quickly, can you dispel that myth that saturated fats are not bad for you?
Yeah,
That's another one.
Very easy. So I can do it with a real world example. In my consult room there, 27-year-old male and female come to me. She's got no period, so she's not a working human, and he's got no morning glory.
Yeah.
So again, not working so good. Long story short, they got married 13 months ago, and they died. She dieted for the wedding, then after the wedding, honeymoon, put on her weight, dieted again, didn't work. She went raw vegan to diet. Cool if it works for you, but it didn't work for her because she's lost her period. Hubby went to support her, went raw vegan, and he's lost his manhood. So their sex hormones, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, they're not working effectively. They're not getting fats in to make that grow. The cell wall or cell membrane is made from cholesterols. Cholesterols are made from saturated fats. That's it. Can't make them. Don't eat them. Can't make them. And they have nothing. And I'll be telling the story at the lecture tonight. We'll see if it gets a laugh. But I got a text message from the female of the couple 2 weeks later. The text message was, "Hi Damian, I'm so excited. I got my cycle back." And I thought to myself, what the hell is she on about here? I texted back, "What kind of bike did you get?"
Brilliant.
No, she got a period back.
Giant.
Yeah, she had to spell it out with crayon for the blonde soldier. So saturated fats are not bad. You need them if you want to make hormones. Back to the question: a ketogenic diet would be effective on testosterone because it's protein sparing, it's high fats. A ketogenic diet done wrong will be bad for hormones. Here's the caveat: if you're reduced carbs and reduced calories, and or female, so that's one, but and or overtraining or training lots, which is most of these people a lot of people in the athletic world see this as a great diet because it is. Well, they can depress their thyroid and depress their sex hormones, mainly thyroid. So the caveat was low calories, calorie deficient, or overtraining, or training lots. And also females mustn't do that. So on thyroid it will help, but if you're calorie deprived on a female, it will drive your thyroid down and things are going to get pretty ugly. So we say with people, it's better to actually, with females, it's better to actually try and eat more. So if you were advocating it to them, you'd actually try and have them eat a couple hundred calories extra. In reality, they're just going to go even. Because girls, sorry, it's what you do. You you like eating less calories, you like believing all that stuff. It's what you've been taught, and you can't. It's not your fault. It's they told you to do. But then they'll just go even calories, and they'll have good fats, the appropriate amount of carbohydrates, and they're not going to depress their thyroid.
Brilliant.
Yeah, great questions. So it can go wrong. Again, that's where exogenous ketones come in. We'd like to put extra ketones into the benefits of there, and then they can titrate down their carbohydrates.
Brilliant. Just last question to sum up for Elise. And I never knew this actually. Thank you for being so open and sharing that she actually suffers from Hashimoto's. And she's been speaking to her nutritionist that had been speaking about the getting her body alkaline.
Yep.
And I know we've had similar conversations with at the start of my cancer journey, or cancer recovery journey, and I spoke about Dr. Bruce Lipton and things like that. But obviously with the naturally occurring acids that are in the body and things like that, can you ever get in that alkaline state, or is it what's the word? Would it be beneficial just to focus on just getting into a state of ketosis?
Tough question. Good question. First off, alkalinity in your blood. You've got so many systems and backups, like way more than 3 or 4. It's like about 8 or 9. If you did change the pH of your blood, you're going to die. I think it's by about 0.2. So your brain will just keep using all those backup systems. You can't really change the pH of your blood. But what you can do, and most of these things that you see on the internet, you should have an alkaline diet. It's just asking somebody not have a really horribly acidic diet. You'll change on your pee, absolutely. You pee on some sticks, and some raw vegan says, "Yep, you're all alkaline, you're all feeling good," but you can't change your blood pH. Consider with nutrition. It won't let you do it. But what's a smart idea is taking away, the American hot dogs and all these acidic foods, your Coca-Colas or sodas, whatever you want to call them. All these foods that are leaching things from your body, like the cola will leach calcium from your body, or the sodas. So you would be well put in that person's case to eat real food, one. Make it organic, because it hasn't got all this other crap in it. And when I say that, so you're talking pesticides, fungicides, and plant growth regulators. Those things are on there, they're not supposed to be in the body. We're going to have an effect from that. The bulletproof diet, Dave Asprey had Hashimoto's antibodies. It's designed to be the lowest inflammation food to choose from. Okay. Don't have to drink bulletproof coffee to be on the bulletproof diet.
Yeah.
It's just a really healthy diet of low inflammation foods, and that would be the reverse of all those hard cooked salamis and so on, those acidic foods. And it just so happens to be a ketogenic type diet as well, which allows you to burn your own body fat and not to have too much carbohydrates, because that hurts you down the track. It's going to cause damage to your red blood cells. It's going to cause you to gain more visceral fat, and it's going to cause you to have reactive oxygen species. Doesn't sound so good inside your body. No. Yeah, so the answer with that one, it will probably help Hashimoto's, a ketogenic diet, but not if it's from bacon and eggs and butter and nothing else good. I guarantee you, you'll get lean, but you won't get healthy.
Cool. I think that's a very appropriate and apt way to kind of sum up there, that ketones are not, especially exogenous ketones, they're not where it's prove it's sachets or the MCT oil from the bulletproof, or just following the bulletproof diet itself. This is not the magic pill or the magic bean that we've been looking for that's the answer to all the stuff. It is just something that we can use more efficiently to accompany the base level living that we've forgotten how to do for so much. So before we went live, we were speaking about the need to, you need new credible information like this, and we're at a very exciting time where people are now asking more poignant questions, and the science is there to back it up. But for the vast majority of us as humans, we overcomplicate life, and we go, I don't know what to do. Well, yeah, you do. I should stop the crap. Job one.
Yeah.
Get the vitamins and minerals in there. Get it from a trusted source. And then when it comes to performance, like that protein sprain and stuff, I love that. Train low, race high. I think that's phenomenal. That's my biggest takeaway from this. And if you can hack that and then get ketones for a more optimal energy source, it's got so many more benefits.
Absolutely. You know, there's no real downside, and I guess summing that up is we want people to get into it as easily as possible.
Yeah.
So even one of my clients that goes low carbohydrate, and some don't, it's not required. Their carbohydrate need and tolerance is completely different. But if they do need to change their carbohydrate intake, take away sugar, they've got no fat burning ability, then at least give them something to have energy. You definitely give them an MCT oil. So a medium chain triglyceride oil is a ketone producing oil. That's not coconut oil. Coconut oil has about 12% of this in it, and it's quality ones as well. It can't be something that's inflammatory in the body. At least give them an energy source to allow them to then do it with food. Ketones are anti-inflammatory. They block the hunger hormone ghrelin. They improve the satiety hormone CCK in your brain and your belly. The anti-inflammatory effect is huge. I've seen some great results with clients there, and the energy production, it lasts 3 to 5 times as long as sugar. Your brain preferences ketones in the presence of sugar, so your brain works straight away. It just gives you that environment to be able to make some good decisions.
We all need that.
Yeah, and be a bit healthier.
Cool.
Yeah.
So guys, that's going to wrap us up today. Thanks very much, Damian, for your time.
Pleasure.
Brilliant. And any questions? I know a lot of people get quite overwhelmed with that. Go away, digest it, come back and see us. Anyone that looks for any exogenous ketones, where it's come from, wants to source some of that, because I'm already feeling even more grateful that I've got this available to us. Contact either Damian through his Eat Well Move Well page, or it's www.eatwellmovewell.net.
Yes,
is that right, for the
that's
website? Or private mail me, Facebook, website, whatever you like, guys. We're here to help, and we're very excited that we actually have something tangible now that is so readily available to completely change. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks,
Cheers,
mate.
buddy.